So that's like one good thing, and to another not so good thing. My luck has it, radiator for some reason is leaking. Um, I don't know why. There's some rust there, so I'm gonna add some of this fluid to the radiator that cleans, or that clears, sorry, that fills tiny holes. So you add it to the coolant. That stuff goes through your coolant, and then when it finds a little hole, it kind of, and as soon as it gets in touch with the air, it um, becomes hard. Yeah, that should fill up those. If it's a tiny hole, that should work, I think. If I can find a good, prefer a brand new one, basically a new radiator, then I'll go for that. Because all the second hands will be just as old as this one. But as you can see behind me, it is like really smoking. That's not good. So radiator's fucked. On this side over here, the steam coming from it. So there's a leak just over there somewhere. There's some rust over there as well. So yeah, something happened. And as you can see, my bottle has dropped over here. So, and the other thing, there's a little dribble of water here as well. It shouldn't be. That should be completely dry. So what I'm hoping to do is use something like this. So this is like a radiator leak stop. It's got a fluid in here which you add to the coolant, and on the GL you can do that over here. But I've taken it off and I've drained some fluid also, so there's room for this. Add a bottle of radiator leak stop to the cooling system with a cold running engine. Oh yeah, sorry, what this stuff is supposed to do, this stuff that's in here, it reacts to air. So as soon as it comes into touch with air, it gets from liquid to solid, and it goes into the little nooks and crannies of those cooling fins. So a radiator looks like this with all these cooling fins, and it's got little channels going up and down back here, and this dissipates all the heat from the fluid, and then the fluid goes back into the system, cooling the engine. There you go. So I have to say it did improve a lot, because it's just over here now. Some of these, there's leakage over here. This is all dry now, and it was coming from over here a lot. That's gone. So I don't know, it has improved a lot. So maybe we'll have to go another go. As you can see, the level drop. We'll be back again after those 9 minutes or something. And the thing is, the fan never went on, so we'll have to check that. That will mean thermostat, which is over here, may be able to reach that. So we'll have to take that off, test that. Maybe get a new one. And there's a thermostat in here as well. You could see if the fan is faulty, of course, by putting some power to the fan. Alright, it has improved, but not as much as I would have liked. So I've removed the cap over here from the thermal switch, which is over there. Now this switch, when it reaches, I think about boiling point, or maybe 95 degrees, this is a open circuit, and when it gets 95 or higher, it becomes a closed circuit, and then it sends a signal through this cap to the fan, which is over here. And I want to test to see if that fan and this connection works. Now to do that, let's turn this off. I've got this little clip. You can use anything basically, as long as it conducts electricity. Get that in there so you got a good connection. And now I'm going to turn on the ignition and the fan should start working. So I'll just kind of get you in line over here so you can see it. So there's the fan, the white one over there. Just do that because I'm in the light. So this thing that should start turning as soon as I turn on the ignition. There we go. Oh, that's really nice. So that works. So we know the connection is good. That's a pretty simple test. But what I don't know, and what didn't happen when I was running it, now maybe the temperature didn't go up because it wasn't really hot that day and there was plenty of wind and stuff, so maybe I didn't get high enough with the engine. I haven't got any front brakes, I haven't got a license plate on it, so I wasn't able to really get it really hot. So I want to test that thermal switch over there. And to do that, I got this really big socket. So this is a 27mm socket that should fit on there, and then I should be able to turn it out. All I need to do is get the radiator fluid out of this thing, what we're going for here, and then we can test the switch. So I did get the thermal switch out. Now this is an original one, but this thing is inside the water. When it reaches a certain point, I guess it kind of falls down or something happens. But what you can do is you can stick this into this point into boiling water, and let's see if we get a resistance over here, because it should be 0 at this point. So we'll have a test on that, and we'll do that on the bench. But I'm going to do a little test setup and see if this switch works and that one works. So the water's like nearly 90 degrees Celsius right now, and this is set on resistance. And I'm just going to measure, and there should be nothing coming from this because I think this is broken. The water's starting to boil right now, so, and you should see a reading here if this works. And there's the reading, which means that this one is working and this one is not. And this is an original one, this is one from China, so there's a slight difference here in the pins. Actually it looks a lot different. So this switch works and that one doesn't. It's a setup, that's how you can test the switch. Just right. Right. You can see the water pump now. Let's just see if we can release that somehow. I really don't know how far it needs to go to get it off. From the ignition units, you can see it. Get that clean. There it is. I'm going to remove this rust on the fan. It's on the side here as well. As you can see, it's coming through. So just using my wire brush again, and that will make quick work of it.
Eventually,
Paint off, and it works pretty good actually. So this is a shroud that sits at the bottom that holds the radiator, and the fan, which as you can see came out pretty good. So we're just going to paint this, and then I can put the radiator back in tomorrow, which would be nice.
Two hours later.
Here you can see all the crap that came from the igniter units, and down here, so you can see all these little like droplets. I think that's the stuff we poured in, and it should seal the radiator. Don't know if it did it, but well, we had a go at least. So everything's off now. The other thing is we've got the thermostat housing over here, so we can take that out, take out the thermostat, I think, and have a look and see if that works. That's number 2. There we go, and there's the thermostat. There's more of it sludge in there. You can see, and there's the actual thermostat, so we can test this. So I'm going to test the thermostat, see if it pops open. I think I'm just going to dunk it in here and see what happens. Temperature right now of the water is 71 degrees Celsius. And it should open at 95, so nothing should happen at this point. And I'm just going to turn up temperature, and we'll just kind of sit back and see what happens. I'm actually going to stand back a bit because maybe it's going to splash in my face. So I'm just going to try and remove this water pump housing, and it has got same size. So it does turn.
Seconds later.
So that only like took me seconds to be easy, to be honest. That's improved significantly. Now this is pretty coarse for this aluminium, so it's not ideal, but I'm just going to use some sandpaper trying to smooth it out, but that was quick and dirty. So this is the other piece that sits in front of the water pump housing. This is where the radiator goes, as you can see. That's pretty dirty as well. So stick it in there and see what happens. Well, that's why it's leaking so much. It's actually completely corroded, as you can see. And sandblaster just went straight through it. Now that thing is strong, but not strong as this, to do this on its own. So that's why there was so much crap around it, I guess. It was just really, really bad. So I need to replace this, I guess. Yeah, so I could try to use this, but that's not good. I'm gonna go online and see if I can find one for not too much money and just replace it, because that's gone.
An eternity later.
Let's get it back on this housing. Got a new O-ring from Honda. Just gonna grease this up a bit. It's tight. All right. Cleaned, repaired. Nice. The seal for the water pump housing. And I think it can only go on one way. It's a Honda part as well. I need to open this up. So it's got a little sealant already on it, and it basically can only go on one way, like that. So let's stick that to the frame. This one's over here. There's a crush washer behind it.
It goes over here. Kind of holds my gasket in place. There we go.
And this thing, this housing has a locating dowel pin that transfers with this oil filter cap. Shown that when I did the oil the other day. So it makes sure you've got the oil filter correct. Ah, I'm so sick of this shit. Fuck. Fucking hell. I have to take off all the front cover. Probably. I even turned it down to 17 instead of 21. It was way too strong for my feeling. Oh man. Finally, this thing is getting somewhere.
Fucking hell.
How far is it? Oh, it's really far. Shit, fucking hell, fuck shit. I'm really gutted. I'm starting to move backwards with this thing. Always have this. Always when I put something to torque settings, something breaks. I've had that with the clutch on the GS. When it's for removal, that's okay, but when I'm putting things back in, I've cleaned everything and they still break. And I wasn't even at the correct setting I needed to be. It was at like 17 Newton meters. So it should go at 21. So it snapped off completely. Okay. I'm just going to think what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and get it out of place where it is right now, which will mean I have to buy another gasket, and I'll probably have to remove the water pump as well, which means I need to get new O-rings. The oil's going to come out, and try to remove it that way, and still have to remove it, or I could do it where it is right now. I don't have to take off the front end. There's a really, really tiny piece still there. As you can see, there's like a really small lip. I could try and get like make a line here, but I don't want to damage the aluminum back, so I can get a wrench, and I could try and do that, but I don't think I can hurt this really bad. Can I tap it? I'll be able to tap it. There is a lip, but I don't know. One way to do this. Get this thing up and running. This is really sketchy. Alright, so I'm just going to put a small dab sealant over here. So, just to kind of cover that nick that I made with the grinder. It's not enormous, but that's what she said. Got it right now. Put it over those pins. Alright. We are back in business. So the housing, it's a bit damaged. I'm not going to do anything with it right now. I just want to get the engine running properly first. Get all the aesthetics later. Alright, so the O-ring is going to go. We're going to ditch that. I got a new one, a Honda part as well. So we're going to stick that in there. Goes in. I'm just going to check the manual again. Goes in like that. And now we tested the thermostat like you saw. And the reason it goes in like that is that this piece needs to go to the place where the most heat is, which is the engine. So that's a good reminder. Don't know where this little floppy thing goes. Let's first see if I can get in here anyway. It doesn't fit at all. That doesn't fit. Alright, so we've got a working useless. Christ. God help me. It is cool to see what it sits like. So as soon as this thermostat opens, so the heat's coming from the engine. The thermostat at over 82, it's set on the lid, I think it's about 90, should start opening up. Hot water will start flushing through this system, going to the radiator, I think. Is it? Yeah, or it's gonna throw back in the radiator, get cooled that way, and the fan, of course, will kick in. If the temperature drops, the fan stops again, and it just, if the cooling from the air is enough. But if the engine stands still, like for a traffic light, there's no air rushing through the radiator, it'll start heating up again, the water, and this thing should kick in. Unfortunately, it's broken. So yeah, guess a trial by error, Chinese winky website. I'll just check if I made a mistake. I don't want to blame something on them if I've made a mistake, but I've read more that more people find that these won't fit or they are faulty. So lesson learned again, I guess. All right, I've got the bolts in the bike, so we're gonna put this back. The reason I went for a second-hand replacement, I want to get this thing running. Now, I saw Chinese stuff as well. I've heard mixed things about it, so I went for an original one, and I'm really curious to see. Well, it's well packed. Take away the box. So I got this at a Dutch second-hand motorcycle shop. I think it's called Baboon right now for some reason, which is a strange name, but anyway, it's got the fins damaged. It's not, that was on the picture as well. It's these channels that are mainly concerning me. Yeah, it looks okay. I can kind of bend these back into place, maybe give it a spray of some black paint. It'll look perfect. Other than that, I've even got the cap. I googled this, if you got one original like this from CMSNL. You'll be surprised how expensive that is. I'm glad I did this. This cost me 90 euros plus shipping, so just over 105 euros, I think, for this radiator. Hope and pray that this one is okay, otherwise it is useless, and let's swap it over. Okay, so I need to get this thing up in the air already. I think that's easier to mount this first and then wiggle the radiator back in. Now the fan can only go in one way, so with the plug on top, that's the only way. So these longer tabs, they go underneath over here. So the longer tabs on these points and the small one at the top. So I really like my new tool from Ryobi, this automatic spanner thing, ratchet. It's really good. It makes things go so much quicker. It's easy to use. It's got this rotating head as well, so I can get in a lot of places over here, even these tiny small spots over here. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with this. So I can really recommend something like that. It's just it's a nice tool. Let's peek. Yeah, it's on neutral. Okay, I don't think I need. Fuel. Let's give it a bit more. Alright, so I can safely say that the radiator is fixed. The radiator is fixed, more leaks, and it is cooling, so that is great.